Yeah. Okay. College from 9 to 1 o'clock. If class timing is 8:30 to 10:30. Okay, if it is an offline class, it will be 8:30. Okay. When it is an offline class, it will be 8:30 only. Okay, so only for online class, I'm taking at 10 o'clock. But when the offline classes started, it will be your 8:30 only. Okay, so no need to worry about that. So where is my new advanced Java? Yeah, so open it. It's my first web app. So I hope everyone got the output. So except one person, right? So today, those who are getting errors and all, based on this, I'm going to discuss today itself. So I'll solve your issues. So we have done something here, right? So they have created something first servlet, which is implementing servlet interface, and some methods are there 1 2 3 4 5, and these methods are there. And in that also we have written only service method, okay, logic, and we didn't write anything inside this. What we have to write inside these and all, and why we are having these methods and all, we will discuss today. And also we have something called web.xml, right? So what is this what is this 8 lines of code? Why we are doing this? What is this web.xml? Everything we are going to discuss today. Okay, and once we click on this, what is going to happen internally? Okay, these and all we are going to discuss today in this class. Okay, and 1 second, just a second. Hello, yeah, sorry, I am thinking that I am in phone. Okay, so once we click on here, what is going to happen internally? Okay, so these and all complete part we are going to learn. Okay, so whatever the servlet project you are doing, each and every servlet project we are going to do the same process. Okay, this is the same process. One link I have given, and one web.xml I have given here. Okay, so and based on this, it is going to the servlet and it is going to the service method. Okay, so this is what we are going to do regularly. We are going to do. So today's class is very very important that you have to understand. Okay, because entire servlets we are going to do the same thing, but small modifications will be there. Okay, bit modifications and all will be there. So but we are going to understand this only. Okay, so we don't need the comment. Comment is there also, that's not a problem. But we are not interested with the comments. Right. Yes, so first of all, to understand this entire process, we have to understand something called servlet. First of all, we have to understand what is a servlet. Okay, we have to understand something called servlet. Okay, so what do you mean this servlet means? So what we have understood in the previous class, servlet means what we have understood about servlet. Yeah, it's an API and it's an interface. Your correct front end to Java logic page. Okay, we are learning servlet speech that only we are doing, but we should not tell that. It's an API which is used to link between front end to Java. This is also fine, correct? Okay, so we discussed about it is an API, it is a package, it is an interface. Okay, so these and all we have discussed, right? So, and now we are going to discuss something about servlet interface. So we are having something servlet interface, right? So about this interface we are going to discuss. Okay, so this is an interface. Actually, this servlet is the right. It is an interface. Okay, they have given the name as servlet. So generally, it is like an API only. So connection between from front end to Java itself, and this interface is present in javax dot servlet package. Okay, so see, remember package names and all for interview purpose. Okay, once you crack the interview and all, these package names and all not needed. However, once you join in the Google or any company, so you're going to just type only. So that is copy pasting only you're going to do. But for interview purpose, you have to remember and learn everything. Okay, so this interface is present in util package and no, servlet is not a class. Servlet is a no, Itreka. Servlet is not a class. It's an interface. That is what I'm telling, right? Servlet is an interface. It is going to be present in the Java X dot servlet package. Okay, and you know one thing. So it is a we can tell it is a root interface also. Means we have listened about object class, right? It is a supermost class. So any class is there, it is going to be a direct or indirect child of object class. So like that here, when you are making a class as servlet, direct or indirectly you are going to be implements servlet interface. Okay, so this one you have to remember. It is a root interface. Okay, of we can write it as a server side Java program. Okay, so it is a root interface, but don't tell that it is an object like it is like an object class, it is a supermost class and all. You don't tell. Okay, you have to tell that it is a root interface of server side of program. So whatever the class, if we want to make, say going, just a second. Yeah, okay. So I think it will be clear now. Yeah. So it is a root interface of server-side Java program. Means whatever a Java class is there, normal Java class is there. If I want to make it as a servlet class, okay, so you have to implement your servlet interface. And in future, we are going to learn something called generic servlet and HTTP servlet also. Okay, so what is this generic servlet and HTTP servlet also we will discuss. But when you are making a class as servlet, you can make in three ways: by implementing servlet interface, by extending a generic servlet class, and by extending a HTTP servlet class. Okay, so but we will discuss about these and all clearly. But as of now, you have to remember that if you are making a Java class as a servlet class, direct or indirectly, you are going to implement this servlet interface. So it will be the root interface, we can say. Okay, and it is having some methods. It is having some methods. Why these methods are there? Means, so these methods are there. So whatever the service method, and if you see here, this class is implementing servlet means, so all the abstract methods we need to give the implementation here. The interface concept. Understand the what? Understand why we need oops. Every company is focusing on oops. See here, abstraction is happening. We are implementing servlet interface, right? Okay, it means all the abstract class should be overridden here. So we have to give our implementation. Okay, so we have to make it as a concrete method. Okay, so we are having these methods are all there. Okay, so why these methods are there? So to accept the request and provide some response. Okay, these are all used for. Okay, yeah. So where am I? Yeah. So these are all methods are there. Why we are using these all methods means to accept some request. So I'm going to accept some request and process the request. So based on that request, I'm going to what? I'm going to perform some business logic and I'm going to send it some response. I'm going to send. What is that response? The response is nothing but sending some HTML page or sending some view we can take. Okay, so it means these all methods are useful to take some request and send the response. So these are all methods are useful for that means no, we can't say like that. Okay, so each method having so each behavior is there that we have to understand. Destroy method is one behavior, get servlet config is one behavior, get servlet info is one behavior, init is having some behavior, and service is having some behavior. Right. So we have to discuss about this. So we are having the methods. Yeah. So it is having some methods to accept request. So we can accept the request. Okay. And we can process the request and we can send some response. Okay. So this is what an actual servlet interface. Okay. Servlet interface, okay, it is present in servlet package, okay, java x dot servlet package, and it is a root interface actually. Okay, it means whatever class you are making it as a servlet class, that is if we want to take some request and process and send some view to the user, so at that time we need one interface, that is servlet interface. Okay, for the server side programming, servlet is the root interface. Okay, in servlets, we are having some methods to accept the request. So we will discuss these all methods one by one. So we are having something called, okay, I will write it in another color. we are having, I'll write it in an order. We are having one method called init method, and we are having one method called service method, and we are having one method called destroy method, and we are having a method called get servlet info, and we are having a method called get servlet config. So these are all the five methods we are having. Okay, so these methods we are going to understand one by one. What is this init method? Why we are having this? What is this service? Why we are having? So let us discuss one by one. Okay, and we are having first one is nothing but init method. Okay, so init method is there. So why we need this init method? Means so we are having some process called initialization process. At the time of initialization we need this init method, it is going to execute. So there is something life cycle is there. So our human is also having some life cycle, right? So nothing but from childhood we will going to burn, and after burn what we are going to do, we will play childish things and all, we will do childish things and all. After completing that, education is going to be completed. After education is completed, after that 10th will be there. In 10th everyone is going to tell that okay, 10th if you complete, if you are not completing that, your life is hell. If you failed, your life is hell. Okay, if you are qualified only, so your future will be good. So this 1 year you struggle a lot, so then the future will be yours. So then you can do whatever you want. They will tell like that in the 10th class, right? And that too we will listen that, and we are going to study hard. After completing the 10th, we will go to the intern or diploma, right? After going to intern or diploma, again the same thing. You complete these 2 years. After these 2 years your life is like heaven. Okay, so the first 2 years will be very very difficult. So this one if you focused so much so then your life is become as smoothly you can live, right? So they are going to tell like that. So and we are going to struggle a lot. Inter also completed, our diploma also completed. After that degree will be there, or btech will be there. After coming there, again the same word. We got irritated of these words and all. Okay, 10th they said the same thing, inter they said the same thing, degree or btech they said the same thing. Degree or btech we have to enjoy. So we will enjoy a lot. And at the time of examination, okay, so we have to study or else our future will be spoiled, like that we will study. Right? So we are going to study a lot. After that qualification will be done. Yeah, final string life is equals to hell, huh? Yeah, so everyone is going to tell like that only, right? So complete 10th, your life will be heaven. Complete 10th, your life is beautiful. Okay, complete degree. So your life is, so you are not, sorry, you are going to be a biggest inspiration for everyone if you complete a degree successfully. So these type of words and all they are going to tell. But actually after completing degree only we will get to know that okay, so for entire for a particular job, so I don't need to complete these and all. Okay, just one programming language is enough, so I can survive easily. I can get a growth in my job also, we will get to understand that. Right? And then at last we will realize that just 65, 55 to 60% score is there also fine. A lot of people are not enjoying their life because of getting struggling for getting 80%, 90% and all. Right? Okay, so okay. So there is a life cycle. So after that study, we are going to get a job. So we will get some salary. Okay, so with this our salary, we will build. So after building and after settlement, one marriage, again, again one child will burn. So again the repetitive task again and again. Right. One sec. Yeah. So after one child is going to be born. So again same thing repeated for the child. Okay. So and many of our life cycle is daily morning wake up. So without cleaning our teeth, so directly eat some breakfast and again sleep. Okay, wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep. So some of them life will be like that, right? Huh. Yeah. So like that, we are having it servlet also some life cycle is there. Okay, so in entire servlet programming, the same process is going to happen. Okay. So each and every project, if you are creating a project also, the same life cycle is also plays the main role. Okay, so life cycle is mandatory. Right. So, in that life cycle process, I'll tell what is life cycle process and what are those life cycle methods and all, and what is the need of life cycle. Everything we will discuss. Okay. So it will be executed in the initialization process. Okay. Okay. So this init method is used in the initialization process. Init method is always used in the initialization process. Okay, and this init method is starting only it will be executed. Uh, it will be executed at the beginning. Beginning, yeah. Okay, so it means so first we are assuming that we have written the method like here service like that something I have written. So this one only it is executing. Is it have constructor A? What is this question, man? Servlet, I am saying it is an interface. Again, you are asking it is having constructor and all. Huh? First servlet is a class. For this class, it will be having a constructor. But why we are having any constructor with servlet? Right. Servlet interface doesn't contain constructor, right? What is the question you are asking? While asking, think once. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And now init method is there, right? This method, this is going to execute at the starting itself. Okay, at the beginning itself, it is going to execute. For example, let me write something called I'll print in the console itself. I'll print hello world. Okay, I'm printing in the console hello world. So now let me execute my HTML code. Right click on this, run on server. So save it. Select the local so Tomcat server, click on next, click on finish. And don't give here always use this server. Okay, so why I will tell. Okay, so but don't give always use this server. Okay, click on next and click on finish. So as of now, if you unexpectedly give it also, it's fine. That's not a problem. Okay, but in future and all, we are not going to make because of some problems will occur. Because of that, we are going to uncheck it. So I'm going to clicking on here. So here, hi, your request processed successfully. But you can see here, first hello world is printed, later only hello printing in console. This is what happening. So at the beginning itself, it is going to be executed. Init method always executes in the beginning. Okay, so it is having some method signature is there. Okay, so what is that method signature means? So it is public. Okay, void. It is not going to return. It is not returning any data, and method name is init. Okay, so it contains something called one object. It is going to contain so something called servlet config. What is this servlet config? Okay, so there is one topic is there, config and context. At that time, I'll clearly explain what is this servlet config and what is this servlet context. Okay, so we are having something called servlet config is there. Okay, so it is showing like this. It's gone. Okay, adjust. So whatever I have written, it gone. Public void init method. Unexpectedly, I pressed on escape button. So whatever I have written, it gone. I tried for redo also, it is not working. Okay, so config. So this init method is going to return servlet config, that is config type object, and throws some exception called IO exception. Okay, so yeah, sorry, servlet exception it is throwing. Okay, so why it is throwing servlet exception and all, we are going to learn in the means. So we are going to learn while we are discussing in servlet lifecycle. Okay, servlet exception. So once you understand this init method, so when it is executing, why we are required and all, so you will only get to understand why we are throwing this servlet exception and all. Okay, so init method is done. So later we are having something called service method. So in our Java application, so we are having one method. So always it will start with that method. So what is that method? Whenever execution is there, the execution will be start with a method. Which method? If there is no static blocks or not. Main method, right? Yeah. So whenever we are having one application, so our Java project, whenever I'm executing, so always main method, yes. So when main method starts from the execution, right? Here also, it is like a main method only. Okay, this service method is there, right? Always the executions will start from service method. Means main business logic and all it is going to return here. You can assume assume it init method is like a static block. Okay, you can just imagine, but don't tell in the interview and all. Init method is like a static block and all. Servlet config. About this servlet config, I will tell. There is an interface called servlet config. Okay, so it is going to pass that servlet config object. What we can do with this servlet config object, I will discuss. Okay, so no need to worry about this, whatever argument is there. Clearly, we'll discuss. There is a concept called servlet config and servlet context. Very, very important for interview purpose. Okay, so that and all we will discuss in our class. In our future classes, we will discuss. As of now, init method means it is going to be used in initialization process and it is executed at the beginning. These two things only we have to remember. Okay, then we are having service method. Okay, so service method is like a main method. Okay, so for the entire servlet interface, service method is like a main method. And sir, you told that in main method, so always main method will be executed in Java classes, but in servlet class, always init method is executing. You are telling. Okay, sorry, always you are telling that service method is going to be executed. Then why at the beginning init method is executing? Because some process is there, initialization process. What do you mean by initialization? What do you mean by initialization? Generally, I'm asking. Don't think in servlet at all. So initialization, you have done a lot, providing values. Okay, yeah. Simply we can tell providing values or assign some values. So these are all initializing, right? What we are initializing, what and all we are going to initialize. These and all we are going to discuss. Some value we are going to assign to a particular variable. What is that variable and all we are going to discuss at that time. So this init method is going to be called. Not declaration. Declaration is different. Initialization is different, man. So declaration means, so we are just going to use data type and variable name. Okay, in future I am going to store this type of data only. Like that we are telling. Yeah. Then service method is there. Okay, so it is like a main method in the servlet interface. So we can tell this one as it is. I will tell it as it is a main method of servlet interface. I'll tell. Okay, so we can tell it is a main method because always execution will start from the service method only here. Okay, sir, why you are telling here, but at the beginning servlet init method is going to be executed, but now you are telling always execution starts from the service method means, see, it is, you can imagine init method as a static block. Only once in a lifetime it is going to be executed. Okay, only once in a lifetime. So static methods are going to be, generally I'm telling, static blocks and all going to be executed at the time of class loading time, right? Huh? So here init method is going to be executed at the initializing time. How many times initialization will happen means only one time. What is that initialization? We'll discuss in our servlet lifecycle. So at that time you will get a full clarity. Okay, so then we are having something called service method. So what is this service method? Means it is like a main method of servlet interface, we can say. Okay, and what is the use of this service method? Okay, so this method is going to accept some request. So what is the use? So it will accept some request. So I said right, servlet is going to accept some request, process the request, and provide some response. Everything will be happen in the service method. Okay, so it accepts the request and process the request. Okay, and helps to provide some response. So instead of some response, we'll make it as response. Okay, so in this method only, whatever our business logic is there. So that business logic and all we are going to write in this method itself. Okay, so this is a very, very important method. Okay, so we have to understand this one. So what and all we are going to write. Okay, that we have to understand. So complete servlet is based on this service method only. Okay, so here what and all business logic we are going to write, and why we are writing, when we have to write, how we have to write, these are all we are going to discuss. That's all servlet will be completed. Okay, but few concepts are there, something called get request, post request, HTTP. So that we will discuss in the another package. Now we are discussing something called Java X.Servlet package. In future, we are going to discuss something called Java X.Servlet.HTTP package. Okay, so there some requests, some methods will be changed. Service method will be changed as some get method, some put method, sorry, set method, put method, delete method, like that. It is going to change based on the process. Right. So that and all we'll discuss later. But as of now, remember service method. Here only we are going to write our business logics and all. Okay. Here only we will take the request, process the request, and provide the response and all. Okay. Done. And we are having something. One second. Yeah, we are having what? So there is a method signature for service method. So that is nothing but public. So it is not going to return anything, and we are having method name called service. It is going to accept two things. One is servlet request, and another one is servlet response. Okay, so these are main important. You have to remember this. What is this servlet request? Means whatever request you are going to send, all the request will be get and stored in this particular object. Means for suppose we are having some form is there, student registration form. Okay, so we are going to store, we want to store in the database. So we are going to click on submit, right? So once you click on submit, once you click on submit, the data you have to take and you have to store it in your database. Okay, so that will be stored inside the data will be stored inside the servlet request. Whatever the form details you are entering, right? That all data will come and will sit inside the servlet request. And you want to send some response. Okay, so that is you are sending some HTML page. Okay, so and you're going to send some view and then some modification what you have done and all you're going to show, right? That all responses will be showed with this servlet response object. Okay, so we will discuss about these and all clearly. Okay, so there is concept of separately servlet request itself we'll understand, servlet response we will understand. Okay, but as of now, remember whatever data or whatever request you are fetching from the front end, all the data will come and get stored in the servlet request object. Okay, so whenever you want to send some response, that is another HTML page you want to send, a new tab you want to send, everything you are going to decide with the help of servlet response. Okay, so and this method is going to throw something called IO exception, and it is going to throw something called servlet exception. So no need to worry about what are these exceptions and all. So IO exception belongs to files. Servlet exception is going to be any exception is going to occur at the time of servlet execution. Okay, so for awareness, we are using these throws IO exception and servlet exception. This is about one sec. One sec. I'll be back by drinking some water. Yeah. Uh, what am I discussing actually? Yeah. So service method. Okay, so service method will take the request and process the request and send some response. From front end, whatever data you're getting, that will get stored in this request object. Okay, so whatever response if you want to send, that can be sent with the help of servlet response. Then, okay, so then we are having something called destroy method. Then we are having a method called destroy method. Okay, so this destroy method is going to be executed just before terminating your servlet. Okay, so you are executing your server. Okay, so you are going to terminate your server. Okay, terminating is nothing but stopping. Okay, so while you are terminating your server, at that time this destroy method is going to be worked. Okay, so init method is going to work at the beginning, right? So destroy method is going to work at the end. Okay, remember, init method will be executed at the beginning, destroy method is going to be executed at the end. Okay, so when it is going to be executed means, so before the removing the servlet object, so or terminating the server. Okay, so it will be executed. So I'll make it as yellow so that it will be clear. It will be executed just before the online class. Wait, just a second. Yeah. So this destroy method is going to be executed. Okay, so this will be executed just before the removing of servlet object. Okay, so we can tell it is just removing, just before removing the servlet object or just before terminating our server. So anything you can say. Okay, so this destroy method is also going to be executed one. Okay, we can terminate a program once only. We can't terminate again and again, right? So init method we have understood it is going to be executed at the initialization process. Okay, and this method will be executed at the beginning. Later we are having something called service method. Service method, what it is going to do, so it is like a main method, so it is going to accept the request and process the request and provide some response. Okay, so any application if you see, so whenever you're clicking on button, so it is going to be internally called service method only if you are developing a servlet web application. Okay, so in spring and all it will be different, right? So and we are having method called destroy method. So this destroy method is going to be executed at the time of removing the servlet object or at the time of termination. Okay, so this destroy method and init method will be executed only once. When it comes to service method, it is going to be executed again and again. Okay, so each and every request, so service method will be internally called, right? Okay, so whenever you are clicking one button, so one service method will be called. So for an example, let me take something called Flipkart application if I am taking. Okay, so now the top selling SD card. So this is one request. I'm clicking on this. service method called. So again I'm clicking clicking on this. So one more time service method is called. So when I click on add to cart, again service method is called. Okay, each and every click, so service method is going to be called. Okay, remember this one. Okay, then destroy method. Once we are terminating the server, so how we are going to terminate our server? So we are going to terminate like so something servers. Let us open first servers. Okay, so if you want to terminate, you can right click on here and you can stop, or you can terminate here. But don't terminate inside your console. Console stopping is different. Console stopping means entire program you're going to stop. So I want to terminate only my Tomcat server. Okay, so right click on this and we are going to click on stop. So my server is going to be start. Okay, it means it has been terminated. Okay, so this is about init service and destroy, and something called get servlet info and get servlet config. So I'm creating one servlet class. So this is what? This is servlet class. How can you say it is a servlet class? Any class which is implementing servlet interface. That is nothing but a servlet class. Okay. Huh. Get servlet info. So it is used for getting some information about our servlet. So now get servlet info method is there. I want to give some message like this is a first servlet. This is a first servlet. Like that some message. Any information about this servlet class, this entire servlet class, any information is there in the string format, we can give here. Okay. Get servlet info method. Get servlet info, right? This get servlet info, sorry, whatever I'm typing, it's not visible. This get servlet info is used to get information about the servlet. So any information if we want about the servlet, we can write here and we can return it. So once if I call that method, so I want to print that message. So get servlet info. Okay, so now we are creating only one servlet class here. But in future, we are not going to create only one servlet. So we are going to create many servlet pages. Here only one request, I am creating one servlet class. Okay, so if I want some another request means I am going to create another servlet class. Okay, here or here from here itself I am going to send request to another servlet class. That also we can do here from here. Okay, so about that each and every servlet class information you can write it here. Okay, so this method is used for just getting the information about the servlet. Then, so then we are having something called return type as string return type. Method name is get servlet info. Okay, so there is a method called get servlet info. So this method we can return some message like this. Any string type of message you can return. Okay, only for getting some information. So we are using this get servlet info. Right, and at last we are having one more method called get servlet config. So it git servlet config. So it is like a getter method. So we are telling get servlet config, and this is also one getter method only, right? Get servlet config. Servlet config we have already discussed. It is an object. I told that here itself servlet config is an object. Okay, so here this if we want to get the object of servlet config, we are going to use get servlet config. What is it servlet config? I will tell, but if I tell now, you can't understand this. Okay, we will discuss this about later about a servlet config. But get servlet config, what is the job of this? So it is going to or it is used to return the servlet config object, right? So get servlet config method just used for returning the servlet config object. That about servlet config we will discuss clearly, but not now. Okay, just go through all these points for 2 minutes. Actually, I have written a point for the init method also, but unexpectedly it has been removed because I pressed escape button while typing this. Okay, so just remember init method will be executed at the initialization process. Okay, and it will be executed at the beginning. As of now, remember this much. Just go through it once. Wait. Right? Okay, so now we got a clarity that What is this destroy method? What is this get servlet config? Get servlet info, edit method, and service method. Right, but we did get a full clarity. Okay, once you understand about servlet lifecycle, you'll get a full clarity, clear-cut clarity or clear-cut picture about this servlet concept. Right. So what I will do, so instead of servlet request, here arg0 is there, right? I'll make it as req. So any name it can be, but we are getting request, right? So that's why I'll make it as req. So it means it's a request. Okay, so in the same manner, in the place of arg1, I will take it as response. Okay, so we can take it as a request and we can take this as a response. If it is arg0, arg1 also fine. Okay, so but our code should look pretty so clean, right? So clean or quality our code should be. So at that time we are going to use this and all, right? All right. So now, so I may share the screen. Yes. Yes. So about we got around 70 to 80% knowledge. Right. This servlet config only this one I'm going to skip as of now. Okay. Remaining everything we have seen now. Okay, that is nothing but when this init method will work, when this destroy method is going to be worked, when this service method is going to be worked, and why we did this get servlet info. It is not going to be worked automatically. You have to call this method. What about these three methods, edit method, service method, and destroy method? These are automatically called by the container. Okay, I told you right. So where it is, one sec. Ah, here I told you right. So here container is always container is always used to take some request and send a response, right? So on the container itself, it is going to call the method service method. Okay, it is nothing but it's a software. Container is a software which is present inside our server. Okay, so the name of the container we can tell it as a Catalina. Done. So it means we have understood about this servlet class, right? So it means it is having the five methods, and about the five methods, when it is working and how it is going to work, we have understood, right? And now let us discuss about this XML file. What is this XML file? So web.xml, if we want to understand, we have to understand about web.xml. Sorry, XML file. Okay, so what is this XML file? So it is not displayed. No, no, no. I plan to say about XML. Web.xml will interact with web.xml. No, no. It is not perfect. Okay, so always container is going to service method. Okay, what's the doubt? Just putting service method question mark. I'm not getting. What's the question? What's the question, Soman Mitra? I'm not getting. Yes, so web.xml will interact with service method means yes. Okay, so now let me show clearly. First, for that you have to understand XML file. Okay, so here we are having XML file. So what is this XML file? It is a file of configuration. Okay, so all XML file is used for configurations. Okay, we can tell this one as a configuration file itself. It's not visible properly. Okay, so let me take. I think it's visible. Ah, so XML file is there. So it is a configuration file you can tell, and it is used for all the configurations. Okay, so a clear cut. Yeah. So now it is going to give a clear cut information XML files. Okay, in each and every web application, in each and every web application, there will be definitely one web.xml file will be there. Either it may be internally or externally, definitely one web.xml file will be there. Okay, so this is a very important file for all the web applications. So when you go for Spring MVC, so internally it is having, and sometimes you have to create externally also. When it comes to Spring Boot, it will be internally XML file. All the configurations will be done. Okay, so XML file is just for configurations. Okay, and in any XML, any web application, if you are creating, it is mandatory that that application should contains, or that project should contains this XML file, that is web.xml. Okay, so now let us understand what is this web.xml. Yeah, so now we are having web.xml file. So web.xml file is a configuration file as we discussed. Okay, so it contains something called XML. Okay, so and whenever we are discussing about XML, so our famous thing is there, right? If I ask what do you mean by XML, first what is your answer? What is your answer if I ask what do you mean by XML? So what do you mean by API if I ask? Tell me what do you mean by API? Yes, perfect answer. Okay, so Ashake, you're telling collection of classes and interfaces. Then you'll give one world famous answer, right? Okay, so today you are skipping that world famous answer, right? I'm thinking that whenever I asked, what do you mean by API means, you will tell application programming interface, right? Full forms and all. So for these and all, for this XML file, XML also we are having one full form, that is nothing but extensible markup language. Extensible markup language. Okay, so you'll forget these definitions also, but you're never going to forget these full forms, right? Standard form and all. Okay, it is a medium to design to store and transport data. Is it? Uh, we are not going to store any data. Okay, we can store the data, but with the help of context. Yeah, so that is also possible here. Okay, but data will be stored in the objects only. Okay, I'll give you that information, sir. Okay, so web.xml is a config file or configuration file. Okay, and this file contains some tags called XML. So it is nothing but it is going to tell you which version you are using. Okay, and the second one is nothing but it is nothing but we are telling that we are going to create one web app. So these are all just for one information we are giving, that is about this web app tag. And display name is nothing but it is your project name, which project you are using, right? Which whatever the project is there, so that project name. So here I'm using my first web app. So if you have created as some Flipkart application means here it will show Flipkart application, right? Then one second, it will be entered at 12 before only I finish. One second, guys, I got a message. Okay, yeah, what I'm discussing, web.xml. It is a configuration file, right? So it is used for all the configuration. In this, we are having something called web app tag. Okay, so there is a tag is there, right? This web app tag. This is the main tag. So or else you can tell it as a root tag. Okay, so it is going. So with this help only we are telling that. Okay, I'm going to create a web application. So here I'm going to write the configuration. This slide completely tells that one. Okay, so display name is nothing but just it is going to display your project name. Then we are having these two. So these we have to understand. So this is nothing but giving a full information to the servlet about which class it has to go, which servlet class it has to call, and which service method it has to call. Okay, a clear cut information we are going to give inside this servlet tag. Okay, so we will be having map rate, keys and values we are going to store. You can imagine like that. So this is my key, I can imagine. And this fully qualified name is nothing but my value. Okay, whenever I call key, so if I call get method for key, so it is going to give me the value, right? So like that, while you are doing mapping, so when user presses on hello, so it is going to call my first. My first is a key we can imagine, and the value is first servlet. It will go to first servlet. Service method will be called. Okay, so there is something called web app. What is this web app? It is a root tag, you can say. Web app is a root tag. Then we are having something called display name. So display name just it is going to display your project name. Okay. Then we are having the servlet tag. Servlet tag. Okay. So it contains name you have to provide and the class you have to provide. So what will whatever the servlet name is there, right? So any name you can provide here. So like a key. So based on that key, we are going to provide some value, right? Like that you can imagine, but don't tell this in interviews at all. So we are closing the servlet name. So you can give here any name you can give here. Okay, any servlet name. So anything you can give. Okay, and then 1 second. Yeah. So servlet tag is there. Under that servlet tag, we are having servlet name. So any name you can give, and we have to give here fully qualified name. Then we are having something called this one. It is different. Yeah, and then after this, we are having something called servlet mapping. Okay, so mapping is nothing but we have already discussed, right? So combining or joining like that. Okay, you're going to match. Okay, then in this also servlet name is there. So what is this name? It is nothing but whatever name you are giving, the same name you have to give. So for suppose here if you are giving name only, here also you have to give the same thing. So you can simply copy and you can paste it. Okay, the same servlet name you have to give. And this is nothing but URL. Okay, so the link, whatever you are going to create, that is only URL pattern we are going to tell. So anything you can give here, any URL you can give. I'll change the color of this so it will be clear. Okay, so in this URL pattern you're going to give your link. So if you observe here, whenever in the index.html I'm clicking on one link, what will happen internally? So a request will be sent it to the server. So server is going to, so server we can tell, and container also we can tell. That container is going to get approach with this web.xml. So first it will search, is there any link is there? So he clicked on hello, right? Action is hello. So it will search for hello. Is there any hello is there? Yes. Hello is there. So now for this link, what is the name he is giving? My first. So okay, in this file, is there any my first is there? Yes, I am having one my first. Okay. Now my first it is going to the okay. Now container will understand first servlet. Okay, I have to call a service method of first servlet class. So that is why I am telling that this servlet name and this servlet name both should be same, and this will be your fully qualified name of your class. Then only container can understand, okay, I have to go inside this package, this class, because in future we will be having lot of servlet classes. Each request we are going to create each classes, and also at that time lot of classes will be created, right, for a particular URL. So that's why I am telling that hello if you are having, so it will go to the URL. So this is the URL. So and then name is my first, go to my first, okay, call first servlet. Okay, so let us save and execute this once again. Index.html, I am clicking run as run on server. So now see, once I click on this place, so here index.html only is there. Once I click on here, it became hello. So because I have given the name, URL has hello, and I want to change it to some hi. So I am changing to hi, and here also you have to change it to hi. So here two eyes are there, here also two eyes are there. Okay, so save, then save it and refresh it, execute it. So hi it is telling, so okay, it is telling that 404 not 4 means hi is not available. Why? Here hi is there, right? Then why it is not available? Because whenever you changed anything inside your web.xml, it's mandatory to terminate your application, and again you have to execute. Okay. So run as run on server. Wherever you change in HTML page or in your Java file, no need to terminate your file and each and every time execute. Only web.xml if you are changing. So you have to change your sorry, you have to restart your application. Now see here, it is going to show hi. Any modification happen in web.xml, changes is happen in web.xml, you have to terminate and you have to run the code again. If any change in index.html, like something called, if you see here, welcome to servlets, and I'm giving one more welcome to servlets. Right, now I'm saving this. Now I no need to stop the code here. Just go back and refresh it. Okay. In HTML file, if you do any changes, there is not required any modification here. Means you no need to stop your console and run it again. Okay. In first servlet, if you change any modification, okay, so then also you don't require to stop the application. Like I'm having h1 tag here, I'm adding it as h1 tag. Okay, so let me save this. And now if you see, I'm refreshing, and when I click on here, okay, it is not updating. Yeah, updated. See, I didn't stop my server. But whenever you are changing in web.xml, you have to stop your code and you have to execute again. Why it is printing like this, I will discuss. Okay, we will discuss about this and all clearly. Okay, then, so understood what is this web.xml and what are these five methods and all. So about 70% of knowledge we got it right. Everyone got it. Understood. Yes. Okay. So, uh, this is about the student class. So, we have got knowledge about 70% about these methods. So, once you get understand the life cycle, you will get a clear cut information about this and all. Just take a pic of this and add init points. Init points I didn't add, so add this init points also. Then, not on this also. So, I'll tomorrow I'll explain the, about this also very clearly. No, we don't have that much time to explain very deeply about these and all. But tomorrow I'll explain. Thank you. Then, so someone is telling that is there is some problem occurred, right? So send me your Anydesk ID. Yeah, me too missing. So I'll be soon. I'll come to Bhubaneswar. Okay, so there is a problem. You said right. Who is having problem in running Servlet program? Just send your Anydesk address. So others, you can leave. Bye bye. Accept the request, Jasmine. Accept the request, Jasmine. Accept the request. Surely I'll send the JDBC notes.